Hi everyone, it's Barry from Jerusalem. This week's Torah lesson is Tazriya. Tazriya is from the root of the word Zoa, to plant seeds, to grow. So we are a tradition about developing and growing. We are proactive, procreative. We're not a destructive nation. And today in Israel is Yom HaAtzmaut, the Independence Day. As we celebrate Independence Day, it's kind of unusual because since the state of Israel was created 77 years ago, there seems to be a constant influx of enemies attacking Israel. There's been so many wars in 77 years that Israel is constantly under attack. So as we celebrate Independence Day, we're not really independent because we're suffering still. The idea is that in our lives, Hashem gives us trials, tribulations, but we always have to see that it's His hand. And we also have to see what the problems are. In this week's Parsha is Tazriya. Tazriya happens to do with a physical manifestation of really what the Torah says is a spiritual malady. In other words, the sages say it refers to a lashon hora. It's a METZORA. It's a wound, affliction on the skin, an eruption on the skin that's white, and it has to be only read by the Kohen, who gives the cure or the recipe in the Torah. No one else can really examine the cure except for the Kohen, which is the priest. So we see there's a whole concept and school of thought that regard keeping close within the tradition. So what happened in the desert with Moses' sister, she said something to him that didn't really quite go well. And she came out with this METZORA, which was, it looks like leprosy. It's white. And what they had to do is they had to quarantine the camp. She was separated from the camp and she was in isolation. And the whole movement of the camp was stopped for 7 full days because of Miriam. Now Miriam was also the source of water. And when she passed away, they stopped having water in the desert. So Miriam was a very high person in terms of her characteristics and personality. She was one of the great ones. She actually saved Moses' life, So Moses, in his great humility, the Torah teaches us humility. Well, how did he react when God was angry at Miriam? And she was forced to go outside the camp? How did he react? Moses, her brother, who was loyal to his sister who saved his life, put him in the Nile on a little basket, and the daughter of Pharaoh found him. His reaction was amazing, Instead of being defensive and saying, how could you say something like this to me? He says, Kel refana. God, please. He fell on his face and he says, please, heal her. That's humility. He cares so much about his sister that all the words against him were just rolled off of him like they were meaningless. And it was the community of family where Moses, his sister, and Aaron, his brother, the high priest, the priest, that would read from what is leprosy, that would see. And it was 7 days that they would recheck the blemish, and after 7 days they would continue on their mission. Now, this separation is something that we still carry today in Jewish practice. When a Jew gets married, the woman goes into the holy waters, the mikvah, and she has to count 7 clean days. Her menses, if there's any blood, she has to separate for 7 days. And this is related to elevating the physical body and the procreative force of reproduction to a higher spiritual level. This is called the Nida, and there's a tractate in the Talmud about it. And it's the separation of the 6 days of creation and the 7th day of Shabbat that gives the Jews their uniqueness. It's the separation of the 70 nations in the Jewish people that define the value for the world. But the world doesn't see us that way. So we still have to be hopeful that the Jews will come around together, will become more humble. If we decide that nation states and their politics will determine the fate of the world, they're mistaken. This is why, we had in America, and we have also in Israel, a separation of the camps. But it's a disagreement. It's not anything that leads to peace and harmony, right? There's no humility. Each side doesn't want to give in to. We have the situation in Gaza. Each side doesn't want to give in to anything. The bottom line is we have to struggle for unity in this world. And we have to see that the separation is something good. And we have to expect that there's no one great religion to take over the world. It's that all of mankind has to recognize that there's a creator in this world. And once they recognize that there's a creator in this world, then they can truly become humble, like Moses, our prophet, the greatest prophet. There are many prophets, many false prophets. So we have to see and distinguish between holiness and purity. These METZORA was in impurity, and it had to be cleaned, and it caused for separation. So we have to find tamimut, purity, in our lives, to become tahor, which means pure, and not tameh, which means impure. We have to find, and this is why we have the rules of kashrut, to elevate our eating with a blessing. This makes us more pure. This makes us more connected with God. And when we Jews are doing the good deeds or the mitzvahs, the 613 mitzvahs, we are actually fulfilling the obligation of the Torah from Moses and Sinai. And when the other nations, whether it be Christianity or Muslim or the non-believers, when they start to recognize that there is something greater than themselves in this world, and that they're focused on idol worship and false images and false practices that don't have any concept and recognition of a creator, of one entity that controls everything. Even though we have our freedom of choice, we have the choice to choose towards the creator, to choose humility instead of arrogance. And this is what we're seeing in the world today. We're seeing arrogance everywhere. And what I hope to present in the future talks is this concept of humility. Because humility is the only aspect in human identification that really creates harmony in the world. Because if somebody's words can hurt you, then of course you've come a long way. But if you feel hurt or you feel insecure because of somebody's attack on you, then it's something you have to fix in yourself. So with this Torah PARSHA TAZRIA, let the seeds be planted like the seeds in the garden, and let your hearts grow towards something greater than yourself, towards the harmony that we find in nature, to understand that it's not just about me, it's about the community, and it's about serving the Creator who created this world, and all He wants is our allegiance to Him. So with this in mind, have a good Sabbath, Thursday in Israel here, Independence Day. It was kind of crazy because they had fires in Israel. I looked out my balcony, I saw like huge wind, so I could see that these fires were started. There's a certain wrath in the air, because maybe Hashem is saying, how can you people be celebrating independence when your own future is being threatened? What do you have to do to change, to become more united and accept the yoke of heaven and accept God's plan for you? How do you see yourselves this year? And will you merit the understanding and the need to change, and the need to grow, and the need to develop, to be more aware of yourself and the people around you, to react and use your words in a positive way? This is what it's all about. It's about elevating your words to the praise of God. That's what we're trying to do. But people who do bad talk, called lashon hara, these people are the ones that distance themselves from God. And it says, Prophet Chaim says, that one who speaks lashon hara, which is related to Tazriya. Tazriya is the spiritual manifestation, physical manifestation of a spiritual problem, because we don't use our words properly. We are quick to accuse. We are quick to judge others. We have to really find this middle ground where we store balance in the world. And this we can only do with our speech. We have to elevate our souls and our minds and our hearts to the brotherhood of mankind. No matter what your race and religion is, we have to find some type of balance where we can restore the balance of peace and shalom in this world. Have a good Shabbos, everyone. Speak to you next week.